Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're the Garso Twins. If you're new here, I'm Carly.
I'm Britta.
And we talk about beauty products, we do product reviews, we do a lot of get readies with us.
Yeah.
We do 5 weekly favorites. It's a series every Friday, and those are more like lifestyle, like Amazon purchases. So if you like any of that, we'd love if you would subscribe.
Today we are doing a book roundup. So we try to do these 4 times a year, but we realized the last time we did one was January through March. We posted the video in April, so we're a little bit behind. But we basically give you our top 2 and bottom 2 books of the year so far, not even the year, just like the past few months. So I think this would be from April until now.
Yeah.
So since we're a little behind, we might do like our top 3, but we always find it helpful to do our bottom 2 as well, so that you know what's maybe worth skipping.
Okay, we have the same top 2. Like, these are like 5+ star reads.
Well, they're the only 2 5 stars that I gave.
I gave other 5 stars.
Okay.
But we're just going to talk about them and get them out of the way because we've talked about them so much.
Ad nauseam.
But one is the Happy Place by Emily Henry. This is like, I know it's still in the running for the best book of the year.
Yeah.
Possibly the best book I've ever read. We love this so much. So it follows a group of friends as they go to this like lake cottage every summer. They spend a weekend there. They're about our age. They're like in their early 30s. So they've been doing this since they were in college, and there is a couple, oh my god, what are their names? Harriet and...
Yeah, it's been so long.
I know.
Even to like pick these books, it was racking my brain.
I know, but it's only been a couple minutes. Why is that? When you read a book, and even when it's like the love of your life, you're like, I can't even remember these names, but I know how...
No, it could just be us.
Hard.
I think some people have better memory.
Yeah, maybe. I know her name's Harriet. I know that.
Harriet and Wynn.
Okay, so Harriet and Wynn have been together for like 10 years. They break up and they don't want to tell their group of friends because they kind of like waited too long, and then they're invited to this weekend, and they find out it's the last weekend they're going to have in this house because it's being sold. So they pretend to be a couple for their friend's sake, and it just sort of, it's really heartbreaking. It's like they really dive into their relationship and like what went wrong and like led to their breakup, but then also like it's 2 people that really still love each other. There's another couple in the friend group, and you kind of like get into their relationship. And what we really loved is that every single character, we got like significant information about them.
Yeah.
And like you felt like you really knew them on a deep level, and it was just like a book about love, like not just love with a romantic partner, but love as in like friendships and relationships. It was like a book about relationships because there's a lot of parental relationship discussion too.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, it was just so complex, and we both related to it so much, like being this age, and how, yeah, I know, Terry's so cute. How like, it's kind of a pivotal age in terms of like your life choices, and how your friend group can kind of like be going through different things. Like some become moms and get married, and like some don't, and it just, but like you love each other for who you were, and it was just a beautiful book.
Yeah.
And it has a happy ending with, well, I don't want to like spoil too much.
No,
but,
don't, yeah, that's just...
But it has a good ending if you were worried, because we were, like,
Yeah.
you started and you're like, oh, this is gut-wrenching.
And then the other book that we gave 5 stars was The True Love Experiment. I'm not going to stay here long because we talked about this one a lot too, but it's about Connor. He's a producer, and he's tasked with finding the lead for a like reality show, a dating reality show. And he casts Fizzy. She's a romance author, and she doesn't have like the best dating history, but she's open to this experiment because she does want to find love and kind of like get back on the horse. And they develop a relationship by working closely together, and I don't want to give too much away, but so you see her date these men on the show, and then also spend time with Connor. And I love the premise. I love both of the main characters. I love all the characters in the book, actually. Great writing, great story. It was so good, so unexpected. Like, it's my favorite book from them now. So my 2 lowest, I gave 3 stars to both of these, and I feel like You have no 2 stars?
No.
Oh.
I had really bad luck at the beginning of the year, but not now. Yeah, so none of these books were awful, and I actually do recommend them, but like they didn't blow me away, and I feel like I'm going to be torn up for both of these because they're so loved. But one of them is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. She wrote The Fourth Wing. So basically, it's a dual storyline, and it follows okay, Scarlett and Jameson, who they are. Scarlett is the great-grandmother of Georgia, and so Scarlett is an author, and she has passed away, and she, like, gives all her book rights to Georgia, basically everything in her estate, because she was really successful, so she has a lot of stuff. Georgia was like a daughter to her, even though she was her great-granddaughter. She raised her, and then Georgia needs to find someone to finish Scarlett's last book, and this one is like really personal. All her other books are like works of fiction and just like romance novels, but this one is like an autobiography, basically her love story with her husband Jameson, so Georgia's great-grandfather, and she never finished it because it was so painful and, you know, all the things. So like her team hires this author Noah to finish the book, and Georgia doesn't get along with him at first. It's kind of like an enemies to lovers trope. So it's a dual storyline because you're, through the book and finishing the book, you're seeing Scarlett and Jameson's storyline, which was really beautiful and tragic at the same time. And then you're seeing like Georgia and Noah fall in love in real time through the rewrite of this book. So I loved the idea. I loved the characters. There's a huge twist at the end. I kind of saw it coming. I guessed it probably like 5% before it happened, so not too much more. I'm not like that good. There was like a mother-daughter relationship and how that felt really realistic to me with Georgia and her mom. I just couldn't give it even more than 3 stars because I felt like so much tension between going back and forth between the two couples' storylines. Like it just was so abrupt to me. Like I would be getting into Jameson and Scarlett's storyline and like really loving their storyline, which also was like almost a little too tragic to read, and then also really loving Noah and Georgia, and I just felt like I was like shifting back and forth, and I have seen no one really else say this. Like I said, most people give this like 4 or 5 stars, so I would definitely still read it, but for me it was just a little too much. But I did love like so much of the storyline and like the premise of this book. And then one of the ones that I would not recommend is Stone Cold Fox by Rachel Collar Croft. This was a Beach Reads and Bubbly Rec, so I really thought I would like it because I like all of her recommendations, but I gave it 2 stars. It follows Bee, who she was raised by a single mom, and the mom would basically, I mean, they alluded to the fact that the mom would marry rich men and kill them like a few years later and take their money, and like that's how she made a living. And it was just really dark. Like that part was dark. She essentially started like pimping out Bee when Bee was a teenager. So she just has like this warped view on love. Like she never had a mother that loved her. She views men as like basically a means to an end. And so she sets her eyes on Colin. He's actually a nice guy that comes from a really wealthy family, and she basically tells herself like, I'm not going to be like my mom and jump around. I'm going to marry Colin and be with him forever. He'll be boring, but like I got him to fall in love with me and I'll be set up for life. So she decides that's her life path, but Colin's best friend name is Gail, and they've been best friends since they were children, and Gail has always loved Colin. So Gail like basically threatens Bee. It just gets so dark, you guys. I don't even want to like give it away, but there's lots of like revenge, and it's just not lighthearted in the slightest. And I like to read like romance books that are lighthearted. This had no romance, no likable characters. It was just sad. It was sad watching her grow up. She does end up seeing her mom like as an adult after she gets away from her, and I don't want to like give too much away, but I just don't read this. It's like it's really heavy. Okay, next for me that I gave 3 stars is Ali Hazelwood's new book, Love Theoretically. If you like Ali Hazelwood, then read this book. I like her books, but I don't love them like a lot of people do. It follows Olive and Adam, and they're both professors, which I appreciated because if you read Love Hypothesis, that couple was a professor and like a grad student, so it felt a little risky. So I like that they're both professors, both super smart. I really loved both characters, Adam and Olive. I really loved Olive. She has diabetes, and so like they talk about chronic illness, and it's, I feel like, presented in a really realistic, good way, and it's good to have that representation. So yeah, I like the main characters, but I just felt like the pacing in this book was so off. Like I thought that I could see that they were falling for each other. Obviously, like, it's a romance novel, but I feel like they literally went from like not speaking, not even hating each other, just like never talking to each other, to like being so in love they would get married the next day. Like, it happened so quickly, and I felt like I couldn't believe it then. And if I can't believe a couple in a book, like, it's automatically like going down to 3 stars. But the rest of the plot line and like the characters were decent enough that I kept it at 3 stars. But that's basically my biggest complaint. And it did feel a little repetitive to her other books. I'm probably the only person that likes her second book the most out of all 3. Love on the Brain is my favorite out of the 3 like ones she has. I like it more than Love Hypothesis and this one. So, wasn't a huge one for me, but if you like Ellie Hazelwood, I think you'd like it. Okay, and then my other lowest rating was Partners in Crime by Alicia Rai, I think is how you say her name. And this one I was really excited to read because it said Indian matchmaking meets date night, and date night I think is one of the funniest movies ever with Steve Carell and Tina Fey. It just kills me every time. And it is about Mira. She is a accountant, and she had dated Naveen, who is a lawyer. So they go their separate ways, and then they meet up because Mira is left with her aunt's like estate, and Naveen happened to be her aunt's lawyer. So they meet up, but then they're immediately like kidnapped and being chased, and they don't know why. And so it's kind of like date night, where they're like paired together for this night of like trying to get away from these people. They don't know what they're running from. They don't know like what they're looking for, what's going on. So it sounds like it would be good, like really hook you in, but I didn't really like believe these two as a couple for most of the book until like the end, I would say. And it was just kind of a little bit all over the place. Like, one minute they're like being chased in a vehicle, the next minute they're in Las Vegas at a casino like looking for this like long lost uncle. Like, there was really no plot. I felt like the plot was the chase, but it didn't really, I guess it did end up somewhere, like you end up, there is a like conclusion to the story, but it just didn't draw me in like I thought it would be exciting. Like, maybe like you were saying, like the pacing was a little bit off, and I had really high hopes because of how it was described, and it just kind of fell a little flat for me. Okay, another favorite, which I did give 4 stars, not 5, but I still like love this book and highly recommend it, especially for right now. I read it in March, and I feel like it would be better at this time of year. So it's The Hotel Nantucket by Elin Hilderbrand. So it's basically about a hotel that undergoes a whole remodel. This European businessman has bought the hotel and hires this protagonist of the whole book, Lisbeth, to oversee the transformation and the reopening of the hotel. And Lisbeth is like so awesome. Yeah. She was in like a 10-year relationship with someone else on Nantucket, and they owned like a restaurant together that was really popular, and he cheats on her, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he cheats on her, they break up, and so she's kind of like in this crazy time in her life where she needs a change, so she takes on this like role at this hotel. She's a really strong female character. There's a love interest for her at the hotel, which is like really cute, and you kind of like see her struggle romantically and like trying to find herself again. And then all of the characters in the book are just so awesome. Like, everyone that works at the hotel has like a unique personality and brings something new to the story. They're all different. They all feel so real. Kind of same with Happy Place, like how the characters just felt so real. We didn't get as much depth in this book because there is so many characters. I just don't think there was like time to like create like deep storylines for them, but you get to know them pretty well. And then there's like some guests at the hotel too that you get to know, and there's like some drama involved. There's a lot of drama involved actually between the people that work there and like all the things that are going on, and I just loved it. The only thing I didn't love is that there's this like ghost storyline. There was a chambermaid that was killed in the hotel like hundreds of years ago, so she like haunts the hotel, so some of it was like from her point of view. So I didn't love that, but I didn't hate it either. I can't really say why I didn't give this 5 stars because I really loved it, but I just go with my gut sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, another book that I read back in March, so right after we did the other video, was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And I'm going to give you like a really brief synopsis because there was actually so much depth and detail in this book. But it's about Sam and Sadie and their best friends. They meet in a hospital when they are children and become very close friends. But then Sam is made aware that Sadie is only being his friend for community service, which isn't necessarily true, but that's how he takes it. So they part ways and then they don't see each other again until college. They're both going to college on the East Coast. They see each other on a subway station platform, and they are both video game engineers, creators in their own ways. And so Sadie made a video game and asked Sam to play it and like give her notes. And they basically decide to partner up and launch a video game. It becomes insanely successful. They also have a third partner in the mix as time goes on. And the whole story, there's lots of flashbacks to Sam's childhood in Los Angeles. So I like that it's East Coast and West Coast. They talk about like they're both from LA, and then they both end up on the East Coast for college, and then they do end up moving their offices, like their headquarters, back to Los Angeles. So I like that it's like a bi-coastal story. I really loved both Sam and Sadie. They're both, the way that this author describes these people, they are real people. They have issues, they go through real things, and it's like I cried reading this book, and that is so rare for me, but I fell in love with both of them and like wanted to give them a hug because of the struggles they go through, because I don't want to give anything away because I feel like you should read about these things. But 5 out of 5, this is the only 5 I've given since March. Or I guess in a happy place, like we said, and the Christina Lauren one. But I think everyone should read this. And I'll put the trigger warnings down below because there are like some really heavy topics discussed in this book. But I think it's so beautifully written. It's so impactful. I don't know if I've ever been like this emotional reading a book, and I think everyone should read it.
Okay, the other 5-star that I gave was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This has 2.6 million ratings on Goodreads, so obviously everyone has read this book.
Yeah.
But brief synopsis, it follows Lily. She's a 23-year-old flower shop owner living in Boston, and you get flashbacks to her time growing up. She had a challenging home life, and she meets a boy named Atlas who really helps her through to deal with her parents and her upsetting home life. And then you see her now like owning her flower shop, living in Boston, and she meets a guy, Ryle, on the roof of a building in Boston randomly. They like lose touch and then see each other again, and Ryle is a surgeon, and he's very against relationships, but he like really falls for Lily and was like, I want to make this work. So as they're starting their relationship, Atlas reappears in Lily's life in Boston, and so it kind of just goes through like you see a lot of Atlas and Lily in the past, and then some of them in the future, but then her and Ryan like in the current time, and it has a beautiful ending. I really don't want to say more because I went into this pretty blindly. I didn't really know what was going to happen, and it's a beautiful, beautiful book. It's very hard to read at times, like very, very hard, but it is truly something. I can see why. I think it's her most popular book. It has to be. I think it's even more than Verity.
Maybe.
Although Verity, that was the first book I ever read when I got back into reading.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
It's amazing.
Okay, I am still in my head going back and forth between the 5-star Weekend and When in Rome. I give them both 4 stars. I really love the 5-star Weekend, but I think I like When in Rome a little bit more.
I just read 5-star Weekend and it was so good.
So good. So would recommend, but When in Rome, this one is by Sarah Adams, who wrote the cheat sheet, and I also really liked that book. I feel like there are some books that I remember more vividly than others. That's one of them. Don't you think that? Like when you're thinking back on books?
Yeah.
So I think that she's one of my new favorite authors.
I remember plot lines so well. It's names I have issues with.
Okay, yeah, I guess I don't remember their names in the cheat sheet. So this one is about Amelia Rose, aka Ray Rose. She is a famous pop singer, and she lives in Nashville, but she's having a bit of a mental breakdown, if you will, before she goes on tour. She's like just worked to the bone. She's like, I need a break. She loves Audrey Hepburn. She grew up watching Audrey Hepburn movies with her mom. Specifically, she likes Roman holiday. And so she's like, I'm gonna take my own Roman holiday. I'm gonna go to Rome, Tennessee. I think Tennessee, because she's in Nashville. So it's like a few hours away from Nashville. She can't go to actual like Rome. So she takes like her old car and drives to Rome, and it breaks down because it like hasn't been used in years on this man's lawn. His name is, yeah, like I literally just read this and can't remember his name, Carly. His name's Noah. Her car breaks down on Noah's lawn, and he's like, what's going on? He immediately recognizes her. Like, she's very recognizable, very famous. And he is like, well, at first he's a little bit standoffish. She's kind of scared of him because he's a stranger. He doesn't really want to help her because he actually had his heart broken by someone else passing through town a few years before. So he like doesn't want to get involved, but he eventually helps her get her car to the mechanic. They tell her it's going to take 2 weeks to fix. Honestly, the reason I couldn't give this 5 stars was just because it wasn't believable. Like, what kind of car takes 2 weeks to get fixed? That was just weird to me.
You know what's funny too is we're always like, I feel like we're always saying this, well, that wasn't believable, so I like can't rate it high. But it's funny because it's like a romance genre.
Yeah, that's true.
But then I feel like people like Emily Henry are the reason I keep my like standards high, because she always makes things believable and it's a romance.
Yeah, Christina Lauren's pretty good about that too.
Yeah.
It brings you down to earth
that
a little
weird
bit.
Wilder book.
Yeah. I guess that's true. I didn't like that, but not believable at all. Well, God, I hope not. Okay, anyway, so 2 weeks to get her car fixed. This is another unbelievable thing. He's like, you can stay in my guest room, and she does, which like, I mean, at this point she does trust him because it's a really small town. And I should say, Noah owns a pie shop. So this was giving me major book lovers vibes, where it's like small town. Like, he owns a pie shop that he inherited from his grandmother. He has 3 sisters who are like all around his age, his best friends. Like, very wholesome. So that's what I really
reread
love.
Book Lovers, and it is still 10 out of 10.
Well, I think you would like this because it's like the same vibe. So while she's in town, she's like trying to relax, and she befriends Noah's sisters, she befriends Noah, and they basically tell each other, like, we're not gonna date, we're not gonna get involved, because, like I said, he had his heart broken by this New Yorker that passed through town. He like moved to New York from her, she cheated on him, it was a whole thing, and she's going on tour, and they're like, we can't do long distance. So for most of the book, they're like just friends, but they spend a lot of time together. And so I feel like the pacing in this book was really great because you see them together a lot before, I mean, I don't want to give away the ending, but before they like inevitably end up together, because you saw that coming. And like I said, I really love the sister aspect, that they were his best friends, and Amelia like doesn't really have any close girlfriends, and so they kind of like befriended her as well, and like that was like another love story. It was like her and the town and the people in it. So overall, I really loved Noah and Amelia, both of their characters. I love Noah. Like, the way that he's described is like the perfect man. Not the perfect man.
Charlie Laster.
Yeah, Charlie Laster is
from Book Lovers.
Yeah, Noah isn't like perfect, but he seems great. Very closed off. Kind of reminds me of Brendan from that book that we didn't really like.
Summer.
Yeah, but a little softer, because I didn't really like Brendan.
Because Charlie's pretty closed off too.
Yeah, this guy's grumpy, but he is like charming. So I'll take that, a grumpy, charming guy. And I just really liked it. I found it super endearing and very wholesome, and like a really light, lovely read.
Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you liked this. Please, as always, leave your recommendations for books down below. Obviously, I'm trying to figure out what to read next. The library kind of determines that. But please help us out, especially for this time of year.